Well, hello, Nathan Judah. I'm here with Wolves supporter Joe Edwards. Well, I say I'm here. He's obviously at the London Stadium, and sometimes you're glad that you're at home because you've had to watch that shambles live, Joe. And that was probably, I mean, I can't remember a performance as bad. There's been a few poor ones, but that's got to be up there. One of the worst performances under Nuno.
Yeah, definitely. I can't think of one really off the top of my head. Chelsea was bad at home last season. There's been a few others, but I think all over the pitch they were just shambolic really tonight. It was awful, and you've made a West Ham team that many had earmarked as the early relegation contenders after 2 losses from their first 2 games look like world beaters. That tells the story.
Yeah.
And Wolves just didn't lay a glove on them in attack, and every time West Ham attacked Wolves they looked completely nervous. Any time a player ran at the likes of Sace and Vinagre in particular, they were all over the shop, and there's no way to dress it up. This was an awful night for Wolves.
What's happened, Joe? What has happened to the side that we know and love? Because this is, like you say, this is a completely different side. This isn't the Wolves that we've enjoyed. Toothless up front as well as shambolic at the back, which isn't a good combination. And West Ham aren't a particularly good side, but they play well tonight. But 4-0 is just inexcusable.
Well, and it flatters Wolves. It could have easily been 5 or 6, maybe even 7 or 8. I mean, Rui Patricio helped, keep the scoreline down. I mean, it is an embarrassing night regardless, but it could have been even more embarrassing if it wasn't for Patricio and some of the saves that he made. I think Pedro Neto is probably the only outfield player that can emerge with some credit. Otherwise, it was, some players just let the game pass them by, and others just looked completely shot. I mean, Vinagre, we keep talking about him and responding, and he's just in a real rut. He's got to find his way out of it somehow. But back to the drawing board, into training this week, and Nuno will be as shocked as anyone because he's so robust and shape orientated. He's Nuno. There was none of that on show from Wolves tonight. They were all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 central defenders, all 5 really at the back did not cover themselves in glory. I mean, apart from maybe Tammy Abraham and Mitrovic, Conor Cody hasn't been manhandled like that in a while, and he'll be worse for wear after that performance, and they'll be hurting there. Like you say, you can attack quite a few of them really. Jean Martini hasn't had a good game for a while now for Wolves. I'm a little bit worried about him, but I think this is the time now. We could go really hard on them, and I think we will. I think quite rightly they're going to take some criticism tonight. But Nuno has responded with this. Wolves have responded in the past. They've got to dust themselves down now. The games come thick and fast, but gone are these favourable fixtures that people are talking about, because if they've gone and got beat 4-0 here, and you look, they've got beat by Stoke, they've got stuffed by Man City in the first half, albeit for a decent 20 minutes in the second half. If they don't improve, these easy games or favourable games are going to be 2 or 3 or 4 defeats. Something's got to change quickly, Joe.
Well, it's 3 losses on the spin in all competitions when you count that Stoke game, and this is a very fantastic example that games aren't won on paper. All of us expected, pretty much Wolves to come here and carry on their hot streak against West Ham. They'd won the previous 4 meetings. That Wolves were a bogey team for West Ham, and now they've fell to the largest margin of defeat under Nuno. They've lost by 4 goals to West Ham, and it's scarcely believable stuff. The goals as well. I mean, just Bowen takes his goals well, but the defence was all over the shop for both, and then the 3 headers for Souček and Haller, they're both 6'4", 6'5" players. You just got to mark them. And it sounds simple. It was just a didn't do the basics tonight, and that is what will annoy Nuno the most. They work on so much stuff in training, but if you don't do the basics, you're never going to have a shout against any team in the Premier League. And you got to think, fingers crossed, the only way is up from here.
Yeah, look. You can argue the fact that Daniel Podence wasn't in the lineup tonight, and he's been Wolves' best player in the first 2 games. We understand there's a shoulder injury that hopefully might be okay for Fulham, but at the same time, whether Daniel Podence played tonight or not, they wouldn't have won the game. They'd have lost the game because the other 10 or the other 9 outfielder players aren't up to scratch, and they're going to get beat. So I don't think that you can't put the blame on that. Who I do want to speak to you about is Nelson Semedo, who made his debut today. I thought it looked promising going forward, Joe. Got into some nice positions. not afraid to get forward either, by the way, especially in the box. But it's at the other end of the pitch where Wolves are going to be caught out a few times, a few counter-attacks there where they went straight down that position, and that's kind of what we've learned to, or been led to believe from a Barcelona point of view, is that fantastic going forward, but defensively you're going to have to rein him in, and that's probably what Nuno's going to have to say to him.
Yeah, I think there is an element of that, definitely. I think also on that point though, I think, you know, Willy Bolly has looked shaky in these first few games, and I think he could kind of excuse it a little bit with Adama playing in front of him and that not being Adama's position. But Adama was in attack tonight, and Bolly looked equally as shaky, if not even worse, than he has done in the first two games. So it's not just Semedo. I mean, you know, it wasn't a great debut for him. I mean, it's, you know, exactly what he wouldn't have hoped for. But it's not just him. They've got to work on it all over the pitch. We talk about Mazzini, I can't remember the last time he took the game by the scruff of the neck and really dictated play. I said beforehand, wanted it to see tonight. We just didn't let the game pass him by. So, and Jimenez barely had a touch. So all over the park, really. Wolves have got to kind of get their act together and improve, because, as we say, the only way is up from here, surely.
Look, you brought in Nelson Semedo, who's obviously going to come in for Matt Doherty. He's going to be starting in the first team week in, week out. Marcel, arguably, if Johnny comes back, would probably be on the bench for Wolves. And then you spend £35 million on an 18-year-old striker, and you get a Portuguese young lad on loan who's probably going to be on the bench for most of the season, Joe. This team is, for me, weaker than this team that finished last season. Now, Nuno said afterwards they need to find the resolve from within and within the squad and within the team that they've got. Yeah. However, October the 5th is transfer deadline day, Joe. A lot of fans, a lot of people are calling for multiple positions to be strengthened in that first team, not just this squad, but this first team. Because at the moment they're not good enough. Do you agree, or do you think that maybe, would you expect Wolves now for their business to be done? I think this could have accelerated things if they were on the fence one way or the other.
I think it's perhaps a little bit too early to kind of cast, kind of say that this is a bad window. I mean, I think it needs a few more games, but equally there is cause for concern after this result. I mean, we've got to see goals from other areas. You can't just rely on Jimenez. I know he's not had a kick tonight, but we need to see goals coming from all other areas of the pitch. We can't just do it on his own. It's almost as if if Jimenez doesn't score, then nobody scores at the minute. You've got to improve it on that respect. I mean, Nuno says we've got to find the elements from within. He's not going to come and say we need new signings. So I think there's a very good chance that they're done, but equally a lot has happened already in this window, and I'd be loath to rule anything out. So I think there's perhaps a chance that we could see one. I don't think it'd be anything more than that really. I can't see more than 2 or 3 coming in, but I think it'd be about one. But this is really the squad mainly that Nuno has got moving forward. So they've got to step up their game, and they'll be hurting, and hopefully they can use that pain in a good way and make sure that a night like this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it's a big week for them now, I think, with the run up to Fulham, and Fulham now becomes a must-win. Does it? Does it become a must-win? I feel like they've got to go and win that game if they want to. When you look at the likes of Everton, who have started like a house on fire, and these are the kind of teams that want to challenge for 7th spot. It doesn't matter if you're 15, 16 games in the season, you put a run together, the damage could already be done. You've got to go to Fulham and you've got to win. If you don't beat Fulham and you lose 3 on the bounce, then you look back at the season, you're not finishing 7th, pal.
Pal. No, it's must win. It's must win. They've got 3 points from 3 games, and if you have 3 points from 4, then that's not where Wolves want to be. They don't want to be mounting that challenge again. So they've got to give themselves the footing. They've got to be going and beating Fulham again. It's not done. It's far easier said than done. They've got to be a lot better than they were tonight. A lot better than they were against Manchester City. Just fingers crossed that they are.
Mate, you need a holiday. Get yourself off. You got a week. You got a week's relaxation. Delete Twitter, and I'll see you for transfer deadline day a week on Monday. Joe, thanks very much, pal.
Bye.